بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. أهلا بيكم في محاضرة جديدة وفيديو جديد لقناتنا English for Arabs. النهاردة إن شاء الله هناخد الوحدة السادسة How often do you exercise. هناخد النص الأولاني، والفيديو ده بيتضمن أول جزء معاني الكلمات، المعاني بالإنجليش وبالعربي. وقلنا أهم حاجة إن الطالب يحفظ الكلمات بالإنجليش مش بالعربي. لو الكلمة مش عارف معناها عليه ان هو يبص على المعنى بالعربي ويرجعه تاني يحفظه بالانجليش ويحط الكلمة في جملة عشان يستخدمها بعد كده. ده مهم جدا. الجزء التاني هيكون عبارة عن شرح الوحدة Unit 6 Exercise from 1 to 6 or 1 to 7. هيبقى أول نص الوحدة اللي هنشرحه، وهيكون في الجزء بتاع الجرامر عن adverbs of frequency. الجزء دوت هيكون مشروح بالباوربوينت. ودول الثلاث أجزاء اللي هناخدهم النهاردة إن شاء الله بإذن الله. Wish you all good luck. Please remember to subscribe. لو عجبكم الفيديو ما تنسوش تعملوا اشتراك في القناة. Let's start. Unit 6. How often do you exercise? Often, T soft D. 1. Often. Exercise. Volleyball. Soccer. O-A. Soccer. Football. Basketball. Jogging. Jogging. O-A in American. Jogging. Walking quickly. Walking. British walking. Walking British. American walking quickly. Weight training. Weight GH silent. Weight training. Lifting weights. Lifting weights. Walking. Softball. A sport similar to baseball. A sport similar to baseball. Treadmill. A machine for walking or running. Stretching. Extending or making your arms and legs longer. Stretching, extending. Exercise number 2. Go plus activities in ing. Play games with the ball. Do fitness activities and individual exercises. Individual exercises. Again, go plus activities in ing. Play games with the ball. Do fitness activities and individual exercises. Fitness activities. Activities T soft D. Individual exercises. Aerobics. Yoga. Aerobics. Yoga. Bicycling. Bicycling. Skating. Skating T soft D. Individual exercises to do exercise alone. Aerobics to go to the gym. Yoga, a game of meditation. Bicycling, ride a bike. Skating T soft D, to skate on ice. British skating. Baseball, children, kids. Teens, teenagers. Young adult. Young adults, youth. Young adults British. American adults. Youth British. American youth. Young adults, youth. Middle-aged people. Middle-aged people in Egypt between 30 to 45 years old. Between 30 to 45 years old in Egypt. In the USA, middle-aged between 40 and 60. In the USA, middle-aged between 40 and 60. Exercise number 3. Hardly ever. Hardly ever. Yeah sound here between Y and E. Hardly. Hardly ever. Rarely. Lefted. Leftwits. 5 times a week. Free time. Leisure. Spare time. Free time. Leisure. Leisure. For spare time. Leisure. Spare time. Seriously? Really? Couch potato. Potato. T soft D. Potato. Potato. Second T, this T, soft D. Potato. Lazy. Couch potato, lazy. A person who watches television and is not very active. Lazy. Couch potato, not very active, lazy. Exercise 4. Adverbs of frequency. Adverbs of repetition. Adverbs of repetition. 4 again. Adverbs of frequency. Adverbs of repetition. How often? How often? T silent. T silent. How often? How many times? Every day. Once. One time. Twice. 2 times. Always. Always. L silent. Always. 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 Almost always. Almost. L silent. Always. L silent. Almost always. Usually. Often. T silent. Often. Sometimes. Hardly ever. Hardly ever. Yeah sound. Hardly ever. Rarely. Almost never. Almost. L silent. Almost never. 20%. Never. 0%. Aerobics. Aerobics to do exercises. Gym. Gymnasium. Classmate. Your friend in a class. Classmate. Your friend in a class. In a class. Make link here. Your friend in a class. Exercise 5. Fit. A person who does exercises. Again, athlete, a person who does exercises. Five. Fit. Good athlete. A person who does. A person who does exercises. Does. D-O-E-S. Keep fit. 6. Fitness. Poll. Questionnaire. Survey. 7. Shape. Appearance. Again. 6. Fitness. Poll. Questionnaire. Survey. Shape. 7. Shape. Appearance. Practice the guitar. Play the guitar. Jogging. Jogging. O-A. British. Jogging. Jogging. Walking quickly. Walking. British. Workout. Workout. Exercise. Workout. Workout. Make link between the K work, and out, and O sound. Work out, work out. Don't say work out, no, work out. Work out, exercise. That is the end of the vocab book. Unit 6. How often do you exercise? In this unit, we'll talk about sport, activities, aerobics, the gym. Let's start. Exercise number 1. Snapshot. Look at the picture. What are they doing? They're playing basketball. Where is she? She's at the gym. She's doing exercises. She's doing aerobics. Exercise number 1. Snapshot. The top 5 sports and fitness activities in the United States. In the USA, what are the first sports and fitness activities? Sports. Number 1, basketball, volleyball, softball, football, soccer. This is basketball, volleyball, softball, a sport like pistol, soccer, football. Fitness activities, activities to be fit, to be athlete. Weight training, lifting weights. Treadmill, stretching, extending the arms, walking, jogging, walking quickly. Do people in your country enjoy any of these sports or activities? In Egypt, we like to play football, soccer, volleyball. In Egypt, young men like weight training, treadmill. Check through the sports or fitness activities you enjoy. Make a list of other sports or activities you do, then compare with the class. You try to make a list and tell your friend what is the best sport or activity do you like. Exercise number 2. Word power, sports and exercise. Look at the picture here. We have different sports and different exercises, like swimming, playing soccer, football, playing tennis, riding bicycles, yoga, game of meditation, weight training, lifting weights, inline skate, Now, which of these activities are popular, are famous with the following age groups? Check through the activities, then compare with a partner. Here you have groups of age: children, teens, young adults, middle-aged people, older people. Children, kids, 3 years old, 4 years old, until 10 or 11 years old. Teens, 12, 13, until 19, from 13 to 19 years old. Young adults 20 to 35. Middle-aged from 35 to 50 years old, to 50. Middle-aged. Older people from 50, 60, 70, 80, 90. This is in Egypt. If you are 60 years old, you're in pension. In pension, you stay at home and you have a salary. You take your money on pension. Here, you have the activities: aerobics, baseball, bicycling, inline skating, bicycling to ride a bicycle, inline skating to skate, soccer, football, swimming, tennis, weight training. This is weight training. Lifting weights higher. Yoga. This is game of meditation. To think of only one thing. Why? To calm your mind, to relax. This is yoga. Now, aerobics. For aerobics, children, teens, young adults. Baseball. In Egypt, not famous. Bicycling. Children, teens, young adults. Inline skating. Maybe in Sharm el-Sheikh, yes. Children, teens, young adults. Swimming. Children, teens, young adults. Middle-aged, older people, all like swimming. Swimming, you travel to Sharm el-Sheikh, Hurghada, Marsa Matruh, Marsa Alam for swimming, for having fun. Tennis, children, teens, young adults, middle-aged. Weight training, lifting weights. Teens, young adults. Yoga, maybe middle-aged, older people. B. Pair work. Which of the activities above are used with do, go, or play? Now, these activities, the verb do, we use it with which one? With which word? Go and play. 1 minute, try to answer. Take your time. Do plus what? Exercises. Do aerobics. Do weight training. Do yoga. Again, do aerobics. What sound? Do aerobics. Do weight training. Do yoga. Go, verb plus ing. Go bicycling. Go swimming. Go inline skating. Go bicycling. Go swimming. Go inline skating. Play. Play plus baseball. Ball. So play plus sport with ball or game with a ball. Play baseball, play soccer, play tennis, play football. play rugby, play ping pong, play table tennis. Exercise number 3. Look at the picture. What do you see here? Young lady. She's sitting on what? What's this? She's sleeping on what? This is sofa, couch or sofa. What's she doing? She's watching TV. She's watching TV. She has a remote control. She's watching TV. She's very lazy, not active. What about this one? What's he doing? He's practicing sport. And he's inline skating. Inline skate. So inline skating, and he's very active. Now, exercise 3, conversation. I hardly ever exercise. Listen and practice. Let's start to listen.
CD2, Unit 6. How often do you exercise? Page 37. Exercise 3, conversation. I hardly ever exercise. Part A, listen and practice. You're really fit, Paul. Do you exercise a lot?
Well, I almost always get up early, and I lift weights for an hour.
Seriously?
Sure. And then I often go inline skating.
Wow. How often do you exercise like that?
About 5 times a week. What about you?
Oh, I hardly ever exercise. I usually just watch TV in my free time. I guess I'm a real couch potato.
Listen again.
I hardly ever exercise. Part A, listen and practice. You're really fit, Paul. Do you exercise a lot?
Well, I almost always get up early, and I lift weights for an hour.
Seriously?
Sure. And then I often go inline skating.
Wow. How often do you exercise like that?
About 5 times a week. What about you?
Oh, I hardly ever exercise. I usually just watch TV in my free time. I guess I'm a real couch potato.
And now, let's answer some questions about this conversation. So, here, Mary and Paul are talking. They are talking about exercising. Does Paul exercise a lot? Yes. Paul is a fitness freak. Paul almost always gets up early and lifts sweats for an hour. Every day he lifts sweats for an hour every day. Then he often goes inline skating. How often does Paul exercise like that? How often? How many times? How often? How many times? About 5 times a week. 5 days in the week. What about Mary? Does Mary exercise? No, she hardly ever exercises. Hardly ever, like 1 time in a month, like once a month. She goes to the gym once a month. What does she do? She usually just watches TV in her free time. So Mary watches TV in her free time. What is the type of Mary? Describe Mary. She watches TV. She doesn't go to the gym. She doesn't exercise. She's a real couch potato. couch potato, very lazy person, not active, staying at home watching TV, staying at home and watching TV. So Mary is couch potato. Number B, listen to the rest of the conversation. What else does Paul do in his free time? What does Paul do in his free time? Does he exercise all the time only? Does he lift weights? No. Let's start to listen to number B.
37. Exercise 3, Part B. Listen to the rest of the conversation. What else does Paul do in his free time? What else do you like to do, Paul?
Well, I like video games a lot. I play them every day. It drives my mom crazy.
Hey, I play video games all the time too.
Well, listen, I have some great new games. Why don't we play some after class today?
Okay.
Well, I like video games a lot. I play them every day. It drives my mom crazy.
Hey, I play video games all the time too.
Well, listen, I have some great new games. Why don't we play some after class today?
Okay.
What else does Paul do in his free time? Paul plays video games. He likes playing video games a lot. Is his mom happy? No. It drives his mom crazy. It makes his mother very angry. What will Paul and Mary do? Paul has new games, so they are going to play after class today in the afternoon. So Paul and Mary are going to play games afternoon today after the class. Exercise number 4.
Page 37. Exercise 4. Grammar focus. Adverbs of frequency.
How often do you exercise?
I lift weights every day.
I go jogging once a week.
I play soccer twice a month.
I swim about 3 times a year.
I don't exercise very often. I don't exercise very much.
Do you ever watch TV in the evening?
Yes, I often watch TV after dinner.
I sometimes watch TV before bed. Sometimes I watch TV before bed.
I hardly ever watch TV.
No, I never watch TV. Always. Almost always. Usually. Often. Sometimes. Hardly ever. Almost never. Never.
Exercise 4. Adverbs of frequency. Frequency, repetition. Adverbs of repetition. How often? How many times? How often do you? How many times? Means you do this every week, every month, every day. How often? How often do you exercise? I lift weights every day. So how often? Every day. Answer. How often? How often do you exercise? I go jogging once a week. How often do you exercise? I play soccer twice a month. I swim about 3 times a year. So how often? Answer. Every day, once a week, twice a month, 3 times a year. How often do you exercise? I don't exercise very often. I don't exercise very much. So not often, not much. This is for how often. Now let's start adverbs of frequency. How often? Conversation between A. Ahmed, Muhammad, Ali. Ahmed, how often do you exercise? How often? Do you plus main verb. How often means how many times. How many times? How often? How often do you exercise? How often do you go to the gym? How often do you study English? Muhammad, I, verb, object. I study English every day. I study English once a week. I study English twice a week. Twice a week, 2 times a week. I study English twice a month, 2 times a month, 3 times a year. This is Muhammad. Ali, I don't exercise very often. I don't exercise very much means I don't exercise. So how often means how many times. Easy. This is how. Do you ever watch TV in the evening? In the evening. Yes, I often watch TV after dinner. I sometimes watch TV before bed. Sometimes I watch TV before bed. Sometimes I watch TV before bed. I hardly ever watch TV. Hardly ever. Yes, sound. No, I never watch TV. Question, do you ever? Answer, often, sometimes, hardly ever. Never. Sometimes can begin a sentence. Sometimes here, between subject I and the verb watch. I sometimes watch. Sometimes, the second sentence in the beginning. Sometimes I watch TV. Do you ever? Yes, I always 100%. L silent. I always watch TV. I almost always 90%. I usually watch TV 80%. I often watch TV, often 60 or 70%. Often T silent. I sometimes watch TV. Sometimes I watch TV. Sometimes I don't watch TV, 50%. I hardly ever watch TV, 30 or 20%. I almost never watch TV, 10%. I never watch TV, 0. I don't watch TV. A, okay, this is do you ever? Do you ever? Question. A, ask a question. Do you ever plus main verb? Do you ever play football? Do you ever watch TV? Do you ever do the dishes? This is Ahmed asked. Do you ever play football? Do you ever do the dishes? Do you ever watch TV? Yes, I almost always, I usually, I often, I sometimes, I hardly ever, I almost never. I almost never plus main verb. Okay, so I always play football. Yes, I often play football. Yes, I sometimes play football. Do you ever do the dishes? Yes, I hardly ever do the dishes. Yes, I almost never do the dishes. Do you ever watch TV? Sometimes I watch TV. So sometimes in the beginning of sentence. Sometimes, comma, sometimes I watch TV. Exercise number A. Put the adverbs in the correct place, then practice with partner. In this exercise, you write here the adverb, okay, or the word between brackets, like ever. In which place in the sentence? Like I say, ever do, or do ever, or do you ever, or do you play ever sports? Where you put ever? Where do you write twice a week? Let's answer. 1. A. Do you ever play sports? Do you ever play sports? So here, ever between you and play. Do you ever play sports? Sure. I play soccer twice a week. Twice a week at the end of the sentence, as it is. Number 2. What do you usually do on Saturday mornings? What do you usually do on Saturday mornings? So usually between you and do. What do you usually do on Saturday mornings? Nothing much. I almost always sleep until noon. I almost always sleep until noon. So I put almost always between the subject I and the verb sleep. 3. Do you often do aerobics at the gym? Do you often between you and do. Do you often do aerobics at the gym? No. I hardly ever do aerobics. I hardly ever do aerobics. So hardly ever between I and do. I hardly ever do aerobics. 4. Do you always exercise on Sundays? Do you always exercise on Sundays? 4. B. No, I never exercise on Sundays. I never exercise on Sundays. So never between I and the verb exercise. I never exercise. 5. What do you usually do after class? So usually between you and do. What do you usually do after class? I go out with my classmates about 3 times a week. I go out with my classmates about 3 times a week. About 3 times a week at the end of the sentence. This word about, not about, no, the stress on the bah sound on B. About 3 times a week. 3 times a week. Exercise 5. Pronunciation. Let's start to listen.
Page 38. Exercise 5. Pronunciation. Intonation with direct address. Part A. Listen and practice. Notice these statements with direct address. There is usually falling intonation and a pause before the name.
You're really fit, Paul.
She looks tired, James.
I feel great, Dr. Lee.
Listen again.
You're really fit, Paul.
She looks tired, James.
I feel great, Dr. Lee. You're really fit, Paul.
She looks tired, James.
I feel great, Dr. Lee.
In this sentence, intonation. Intonation, sound up or down. At the end of the sentence, the sound is down. But here, notice these statements, these sentences with direct address. Direct address, name like Paul, James, Dr. Lee, Ahmed, Muhammad. There is usually falling intonation and a pause before the name. So here, before the name, before the comma, sound is down and you stop for short time. Pause to stop for short time. You're really fit, Paul. She looks tired, James. I feel great, Dr. Lee. Easy. So before You say the name of the person, you stop for a short time, and the sound goes down. Again, you're really fit, Paul. She looks tired, James. I feel great, Dr. Lee. She looks tired, James. I feel great, Dr. Lee. Fitness poll. A. Group work. Take a poll in your group. One person takes notes, then turns asking each person these questions. In this exercise, you have fitness survey, fitness questionnaire, poll, survey, questionnaire. You ask the people these questions, you ask your group. 1. Do you have a regular fitness program? Do you have a program to be fit? Do you go to the gym? Do you do exercises? Do you run? Do you go jogging? Jogging, walking fast, walking quickly, or running slowly. How often do you exercise? How many times do you exercise? Once a week, 2 times a week, twice a week, 3 times a week, 4 times a week. Question number 1. Do you have a regular fitness program? Yes, I have. How often do you exercise? I go to the gym every day. Do you ever go to gym? Yes. How often? Every day. How often do you go? I go to the gym every day. What do you do there? I do aerobics. I lift weights. 3. Do you play any sports? Which ones? How often do you play them? 3. Do you play any sports? Yes, I do. I play football. How often do you play football? I play football twice a week. 2 times a week. Twice a week, 2 times a week. 4. Do you ever take long walks? How often? Where do you go? Do you ever take long walks? Do you walk for a long time? Yes, I do. How often? Every day. I walk for an hour every day. Where do you go? I go to supermarket. I go to Hyper One or Carrefour every day and walk to the supermarket. What else do you do to keep fit? To be fit in good health. What else do you do to keep fit? I play ping pong. I don't smoke. I run to work every day. I ride a bicycle. Exercise number 7. Listening in the evening.
Page 38. Exercise 7. Listening. In the evening. Part A. Listen to what Ted, Wanda, and Kim like to do in the evening. Complete the chart.
So, what do you usually do in the evening, Ted?
I exercise a lot. I like to go jogging after work.
Yeah? How often do you go jogging?
About 4 or 5 times a week.
Wow. I guess you're in great shape.
Thanks.
You're in great shape too, Wanda. Oh, thanks, Kim. I usually go to the gym and work out in the evenings. I love it. And I meet a lot of my friends there.
How often do you go?
About 3 times a week, I guess. What about you, Kim? Do you ever work out in the evenings? No, I don't exercise very much. I almost always practice my guitar after work. I practice for a couple of hours every night.
Gee, you must be pretty good.
Listen again and try to answer.
In the evening. Part A. Listen to what Ted, Wanda, and Kim like to do in the evening. Complete the chart.
So, what do you usually do in the evening, Ted?
I exercise a lot. I like to go jogging after work.
Yeah? How often do you go jogging?
About 4 or 5 times a week.
Wow, I guess you're in great shape.
Thanks.
You're in great shape too, Wanda. Oh, thanks, Kim. I usually go to the gym and work out in the evenings. I love it. And I meet a lot of my friends there.
How often do you go?
About 3 times a week, I guess. What about you, Kim? Do you ever work out in the evenings? No, I don't exercise very much. I almost always practice my guitar after work. I practice for a couple of hours every night.
Gee, you must be pretty good.
Exercise 7. Answers. Ted, favorite activity? Jogging after work. Jogging? Walking quickly after work. Jogging after work. How often? How many times? About 4 or 5 times a week. Ted, again, Ted jogging after work about 4 or 5 times a week. Wanda, favorite activity? Working out in the evenings. How often? How many times? About 3 times a week. About 3 times a week. Kim, favorite activity? Practicing the guitar after work. Practicing the guitar after work. How often? How often? A couple of hours every night. A couple of hours every night. A couple of hours every night. 2 hours every night. 2 hours every night. Unit 6 Workbook. 1. Team sport. Sport that needs groups of players. Team sport. Sport that needs groups of players. Individual. Individual 1. Exercise 4. Karate. Karate. British karate. American karate. A sport of self-defense. A sport of self-defense. Karate. A sport of self-defense. Soccer. Football. 7. Exercise 7 workbook. Outdoors. Indoors. Hike. Walking for long time. walking for long time. American walking, British walking. Camp overnight, camp overnight. Spanish related to Spain. Portuguese, Portuguese related to Portugal, related to Portugal. Racquetball, racquetball. That's the end of Unit 6 Part 1. شكرا لكم. كده نكون خلصنا Unit 6 Part 1. Interchange 1 Unit 6 Part 1 3rd edition. Thanks God. Alhamdulillah. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like the video and don't forget to subscribe. شكرا للمشاهدة. من فضلك اشترك في القناة لتصلك آخر إصداراتنا.